Hi, readers. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Katie.
And welcome to Not Another Heroine, the podcast where we break down the best and worst fictional heroines, those swashbuckling ladies who have to work a little harder than expected for their happy ending.
Want to see what's next on our TBR list? Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Instagram for a sneak peek at upcoming content or to help us pick our next book. I'm nervous.
Yeah. And if you don't know why we're nervous, listeners,
like, what's going on?
This is not a normal episode for us. We are going to be breaking down a TV show.
Woo! The whole TV show.
In one go.
Yeah, it's a 6-hour movie.
And we're just going to, there's no part 1, part 2, or part 3. Nope. There's just this.
Thoughts.
We tried to be organized with our approach to this one.
Yeah.
It's probably going to go off the rails.
Yeah. Well, if you just came off of listening to the bookshelf update, same craziness level.
Yeah. Completely different vibe. So we hope you enjoyed the unshelved episode.
Yeah. Heavy cringe. It was fun to record.
We had a blast recording it.
Yeah. Probably a hot mess to listen to.
Yeah.
Hot mess part 2.
Hot mess part 2 because we couldn't get enough of the first round. So
we're doing it again.
We are discussing Queen Charlotte.
Woo! A Bridgerton story.
The Bridgerton story, yes. So if you are familiar with Julia Quinn, she wrote the Bridgerton novels. There's 7 or 8 of them. They're pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
They're not bad. It's like watching a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, that's exactly how I'd describe them. Hallmark movie books.
Yeah, so
I'll accept that.
All of that established.
Yeah, with the context provided.
Yeah. So
young Charlotte,
who, my God, the casting.
Perfect. They even talk very similar. Like the work that India did to make herself into
the facial expressions.
Holy fuck!
Damn,
are they not related?
What are the TV the TV awards? Is it the Golden Globes or something?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that actress better be up for it because
that's a big undertaking too. So this is already an established show, an established character who's pretty distinct, and then you have to come in as an early version of her. Jesus Christ.
And the versions we've already seen prior to Queen Charlotte, right? She's kind of a very antagonistic, you want to dislike her, but there's something about her that makes you want to be no, there's something else going on there. And so to play into that and show a different side and make an audience who's predisposed to dislike you come in and be rooting for you.
That's a heavy lift, and she just yeeted that up, no problem.
I mean, her whole thing, okay, so it kind of opens up right away with her learning about this betrothal to the King of England.
This whole scene is so funny to me. I'm thinking in my head exactly how it went, and I too would have a similar reaction. She's I'm what?
Yeah, because isn't she we get a few glimpses of her prowling around her little palace in Germany, right? But quickly, she's in the carriage, she's in this beautiful costume, but I got the costumes. I want some.
Beautiful.
The hats. Yes. Okay.
Stunning.
Yeah. And so her whole rage hate on the corset.
And she looks uncomfortable too, and just she immediately shuts up her brother. She's I am not moving or talking because I will die.
So this was something that I think they showed it really well with the writing, which is trying to portray that this is a very young, 17, 18-year-old, wealthy, aristocratic woman who is being forced to do something for political gain. And she knows she has to do it. But her young, the young girl, teenager that wants to rebel and just wants to be happy is at war with herself. So the back and forth that she has with her brother in the scene is very, I thought it was spot on.
Yeah, it really was. Because I feel books sometimes struggle with that. They have young characters too easily take on the yoke of political requirements and stuff, and they don't show them as young kids still. But I feel she did a good job of she understands that she has to do this for her country and stuff, but she's really fucking pissed off about it.
Yeah, and okay, and as a viewer, you're come on, like, don't you get it? Like, this is what you have to do. Like,
but it's like, oh, she's what, 17?
She's a child.
Yeah.
Like she's being forced to marry. Like, so that I really appreciated what this is, just this, I don't know, dichotomy of like youth and duty. It was,
love it. Yeah. And then there's the scene of her trying to like climb up the tree and escape out the castle. Like, India, the actor for young Charlotte, did such a good job. Like, the cadence of how she said everything was probably exactly how the lady the actress that plays Charlotte is the older. Exactly, like spot on. Like, she has that kind of like entitled, like, what do you want? Like, I'm doing something. Do you need something?
How dare you, peasant?
Oh, it was so awesome. And it was nice too, because it showed that because I feel like there's always a tendency to show like England as like the mighty power and people who marry in are like lesser. But it has this like fun, like, no, I'm like royalty in my own right. Like, what the fuck do you want? It's like, oh, that's just like the king of England right now. But like, she's like, she has that entitlement, which is fun because I feel like sometimes that's missing, you know?
And I love at that point she had tried. Like, that whole scene where she's standing before Princess Anne, right?
Augusta?
Yeah,
Augusta.
We're just going to call her, what's her face from Game of Thrones?
Catelyn Stark.
Catelyn Stark. Her name is Catelyn Stark.
That is true.
This is how she's known in Bridgerton, as Catelyn Stark.
Catelyn Stark.
So she kind of like has her, like sizes her up, like has her display her teeth and everything. And
that was a weird scene.
But like for her, like for Charlotte to get through that and be like, okay, this is what I have to do. I'm doing it. I hate this, but I'm doing it. And then she finally is like, she's trying to pin down George, right? Like, I have never seen my husband.
Yeah.
And she like, fuck it. She's like, nope, I'm out. Like, I've tried. I tried. I'm done. And that's it. But my God, that camera take where it's like turns around and you just see him and you're like, oh,
there he is.
Hi.
Okay, so speaking of which, that scene where you see him for the first time and he has the buzz cut, there was this like TikTok, Instagram like meme that I saw, and it's like, I never really understood the whole someone doesn't have a face for Regency romance until I saw this man, and it's, you know, King George. Spot on. Like, that man does not have like a Regency face, but it worked. Like, I don't know if it's a haircut or like his face is too like modern.
I don't know. There is some like, maybe it's just like a casting choice that we've been like inundated with.
I can see that
on all the period dramas.
Yeah.
It's always very sharp, like aquiline noses and features and dark and like like you think the dude who plays Mr. Darcy in
that's exactly who I was thinking in my head. I'm like, yeah, the like dark, you know, whatever. But I feel like he has kind of not as sharp features.
He's like a soft, but he looks.
Yeah. Because even the guy in Emma, too, I feel like they look kind of similar, like softer, I guess. But whatever, you know, what is his name? Corey. Whoa, I cannot say that last name. Maltreese? Corey, way too modern of a face.
But, you know, maybe it is the haircut.
I could see that. Yeah. Because, I mean, even so, his like little like actor picture, if you Google him, he has like kind of the like tousled longer hair. That would be more appropriate than the buzz cut that they gave him. It was like very like, am I missing? Like, was there a reason?
I wonder if it's because he's like the like farmer king. Like, so he's always out in the fields and like hair would get in the way. Someone like that.
I wish they had like touched on it maybe, because I saw that man and I'm like, he's on the wrong set.
Yeah. What's the dude who was, I think it's Chad Michael Murray.
Yeah. Exactly. The buzz cut.
like in the Cinderella story movie with Hilary Duff, and he's like in the Prince Charming costume. Yep. That's what it felt like.
Yeah. It's like, you don't have your face is too modern.
You're cute. Keep doing what you're doing. However.
Yeah, not right now. I agree. But also, I loved the scene with Catelyn Stark. What is her name? Michelle Farley. Loved it. She had her, like, what Catelyn Stark should have been the whole time. This was, like, her redeeming moment, like, the scheming mom. It was, like, working maybe for the benefit of, like, her child, but, like, very questionably. I loved that whole scene when she's, like, talking with her advisors. Money.
So, Catelyn and Charlotte are like very much characters with different approaches to the same problems.
Yes.
And very forceful, dynamic personalities, but different deliveries. Like they're both basically trying to do the same thing for the same reasons. It's just they have a different way of handling it.
Yeah. Which was a fun way to see them like interact and hate each other, but it's like, y'all are the same person.
Yeah. And so like, and the way that they were, I think it's much later on in the show, but they acknowledge that. Like, I don't like you, you don't like me, but we're fighting for the same team.
Yeah. So that was a fun relationship that they like built into and I wonder if it was intentional or if it was something that the like actresses just like it clicked for them, because I feel like there's certain deliveries that it's just like it could fall flat with like two actresses that are like great actresses, but like the chemistry isn't there. But like this was fire. Like
the casting like across the board. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And Lady Danbury, young Lady Danbury.
Money. Oh my God.
First off, she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Holy God. Like,
what is her?
I mean, all of the people cast in the show are just beautiful. But
Arsema Thomas, stunning.
Yeah.
Amazing. Bruh.
But her character arc is just,
it's sad.
It's very sad. And I think at this point in our session here, we're going to realize we're not going to be able to go through every single episode.
That's fair. Yeah. Because I feel like, well, this is kind of like episode 2-ish. Yeah. But like the whole Lady Danbury thing is like super fucking sad. But all those scenes with her and her husband and like in their marriage bed, I think that was really integral to understanding her as a character, of like why she's like, no, I'm going to do exactly whatever the fuck I want and no one can stop me. It's like, because she had to suffer for however many fucking years with some like old dude who she didn't love, who was like gross. It's like, yeah, like I did my time, 13 years of it at Azkaban. And now I am enjoying my life as a young, rich woman who is just going to do what I want.
Well, and the fact that so the scenes are really hard to watch. They're meant to be hard to watch. Yeah. But it is another way that character kind of controls her world. Like she knows she has to do this thing. She's married. But what can she get out of the marriage? Like what power, what authority? And this is one way to do it. Like the banter between her and her maid. It's like,
love it.
Like they have a system going on. Like, all right, yeah, that checks out. Yeah. But like, she knows that this is the way that she can control the relationship, which it's sad and depressing, but she eventually gets her own. Like,
I think it also shows what kind of person she is, that like, even though she's in these horrible circumstances, like she's not someone to just play the victim, if that makes sense. Like, she's like, no, I'm going to make like the best of it. And like, even though I have to suffer, like I'm going to take what I need. And that's, I feel like, who her character has been the whole series.
Yeah. Because we've seen like characters before, like in books or in movies, where they're suffering, right? They're trapped in this loveless marriage. They have an awful physical relationship with their spouse. And it's just this downtrodden, sad character who has no power and is waiting for someone to save them. And that's the beautiful thing about Lady Danbury's character arc, is she saves herself.
Yeah. She's the quintessential heroine. Yeah. And I also love the tidbit. Her family is like extremely wealthy royalty in like Senegal, I think is what they say. But that was like a fun tidbit of like, who is Lady Danbury? Like, where did she come from? Like, why did she like get chosen to like elevate or even like marry this other dude? Like, that was a fun little like tidbit. And also she mentioned she had kids. Like, I didn't realize that. I mean, it makes sense, but it's also like...
Yeah, so Simon Bassett from The Duke and I.
Yeah.
No, is that Simon? Yeah, it is Simon, right? He's Lady Danbury's
god.
Or god?
I thought it was just godson, because her and Simon's mom were best friends.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. I do wonder where her kids are.
I know. Because she kind of, I think she makes some passing comments about like them being selfish and entitled. But also like, who are your kids? Where are your kids?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
So, okay, this whole great experiment thing, and this is where the show kind of lost me a little bit, is they attempted to explain the race dynamic.
Yeah.
But they never really quite articulated what the problem, like what went wrong. Like, was slavery still happening? Did they like abolish it 100 years prior and now they're trying to normalize in society? And then the Great Experiment is another adjustment there, or was there something else? I don't know if that was in the episode and I'm forgetting it now.
No, because I had the same questions, because I feel like they did a better job in this, like mini series or whatever, like talking about it and like the ramifications and like the context. But I feel like they missed an opportunity to actually like be explicit. And I feel like that's something like a reflection of what's happening in like school books, like with the whole like Florida trying to redo textbooks and stuff. It's like, I feel like with some of these topics, we need to not dance around them. Like, just say like slavery was a thing and like this is the correction for that, or this is their attempt to like, I don't think dancing around it is really like healthy, and especially in like the face of people trying to like diminish it even more. I feel like their response should be like, no, this is what happened.
Because I want to say Britain abolished slavery pretty early compared to the US, but I'm not sure quite when.
When did Britain? Oh, it's the first search. They're listening. 1807?
Oh, so that's later than I thought.
But that's right before this all is happening, right?
Yeah, so maybe it wasn't. Like, I don't know. So that, I think if I have any complaints about the show, it's that they attempted to explain some things, and in an effort to do that, they deliberately didn't touch on like the foundational things that they needed to explain.
Yeah, I agree.
I think when Bridgerton was first getting promoted prior to season 1, the whole shtick was colorblind casting. So it seemed like that was the thing for Bridgerton. But are they not doing colorblind casting now? Are they just trying to create a different world? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I mean, again, I'm all about colorblind casting, but I also think that if you're going to address the circumstances, because I think it's even in season 1 that Lady Danbury is like yelling at Simon and she's like, they gave it to us so easily, they can just as easily take it away. Like, you have to like secure your line or whatever. I feel like if you're going to talk about stuff like that, like maybe explain it, like do it the justice that it deserves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I mean, it doesn't take away anything. It just makes it more like rich and real. So I don't know. Because they did colorblind casting with Persuasion. Is that the one with what's her name? The girl that was in 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, that was a terrible version of Persuasion.
But it was fun. But they had but they had a colorblind cast, and that was cool. Like, God, what is the guy's name who plays the like dashing guy who kind of
the dude from Crazy Rich Asians?
Yeah, I love him.
He should have been Frederick.
Yes,
Wentworth.
yeah, he should have been the like main.
Way more chemistry.
Money.
Okay, so side note, Persuasion is probably my favorite and best Jane Austen book.
Really?
It is such a good story. There's been several Persuasion movies.
Yeah.
I think there's 3 or 4 now at this point. It's so good.
Interesting.
It's so good. I love like a second chance romance.
Yeah,
it's adorable.
A counterpoint though, Brimsley and Reynolds' relationship, bruh. I feel like so I really liked the series. Like, it was like good. I feel like I enjoyed it because of their relationship.
Okay, so which one?
That man's hair too. First of all,
it's beautiful.
Reynolds is the tall one.
Yeah. Okay, so Brimsley, when Brimsley like comes out as like the more like assertive one.
Love it.
Like, that.
Yep.
That is chemistry right there.
Yeah. Like, and there's a part of me that wonders if like the actors just did such a good job of like whatever they got going on that they're like, we're just gonna write in that you guys are lovers, and they're like, okay. It's like, we do have good chemistry, don't we?
But okay, so at the same time, like they have their relationship, but they're both equally loyal to the people that they're serving.
Oh, yes.
So good.
Because all of their like little snarky comments to each other where they're almost like having an argument where Reynolds is like, no, I serve my king, and like, you're just a usurper or whatever, like trying to like one up into a better position. It's like, fire.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are going to have some crazy sex after this. I know. Maybe not totally healthy to, you know, like yell at each other like that, but also like low key here for it.
Constant like chemistry and like that mystery.
Yeah. I feel like Allie Hazelwood. Have you ever read any of her books?
No.
So she wrote fan fiction, and then she wrote romance books set in modern times with women in STEM. They're super smutty, first of all, but they're like really cute. She needs that dynamic of like, we're casual hookup partners, but we fucking hate each other. And then like it like turns into love somehow. Because that's like my favorite flavor of enemies to lovers is like competitors and you just hate each other. But then it's like, but
you're hot, right?
Wait a second. But like also we hate each other.
What do we do with
all this pent up aggression? God, I'm gonna calm down. Their relationship though, 10 out of 10 was probably my favorite thing about this whole series. Anyways, I want just them.
Just a whole like sub series for them.
Yeah. The next episode though, I feel like I don't really remember what all happened in the middle.
There's like the sandwich, like the two pieces of bread are very good on either end, but the middle is a little bland.
Yeah. It's like you go to a bakery where they make like really bussin' bread, but then you get a sandwich with that bread and the sandwich is kind of like okay, but the bread is like incredible.
Yeah. It's like they put Oscar Mayer like deli meat in between two bakeries. I don't know where I'm going with this.
That was a news article. Didn't they like rename the Wienermobile or whatever it's called? We'll just leave that as is. I think that's a little trivia. They renamed it. I saw the news article, but I don't know what they renamed it, so I'm just going to continue calling it the Wienermobile. Anyway,
one takeaway from like the middle part of the sandwich is the dogs.
The dogs. Oh, the dogs. That's not where I thought you were going. I thought we were going to talk about Violet Bridgerton. And
okay. Yes. Circling back to that. Okay. So
the dogs.
There's a quote. My husband is the best of husbands. He gave me this beautiful bunny thing. Her absolute disdain for these dogs throughout the show. Like even at the end when she's older, she's like surrounded by these dogs. And you never quite know if she actually likes the dogs or if she loves this like symbol of love from her husband.
But that's her character though. Like she's not going to be outward in her devotion or her love for her spouse. But like if you see it in her actions, like girls in love. Because the same thing with season 2 where she's like, she, talked so mean to the younger Sharma sister about like, oh, like I planned this whole wedding or whatever. But then at the end, she's like, okay, like you should be with who you love or someone that like chooses you for love. It's like you look at her actions and then her like very harsh tone, but she's like, I'm just a softie at heart, but I'm going to be mean about it. It's like, I hate these dogs, has 30 of them.
But so she has to be so strong. Like she has to be the strong one in her relationship with George because, and this is the big hurdle in the room. Hurdle? What's the word? Elephant. It's a hurdle and it's an elephant. And an elephant jumping over a hurdle would be really difficult.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. You saved it.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. I meant to do that. So the mental health and what George is, I don't want to say suffering with, because I think there's still some debate depending on like genetic, right? Like, is it something that you experience that you develop later? Is it like a chemical imbalance that you're exposed to? So talking about what George is suffering with, just for lack of a better word, I kind of dug into it. I went on like a Google rabbit hole with like, what was wrong with King George? And they think it was, he was bipolar.
I thought he had like, because the way it's portrayed is almost like someone with like schizophrenia.
Yeah, but probably maybe like because usually they're not single like issues. Yeah, there's like accompanying issues. So it was probably like a mix of those two things. But it was so hard to watch.
Yeah,
him like trying to fix himself because no one wants to live like that. No one wants to like know that they have something wrong. Right.
She's doing air quotes.
Wrong with them, and want to be better for everyone around them, and try and a million different ways to fix it, and nothing is working.
Yeah.
So they just make themselves suffer and suffer and suffer.
Ugh, so sad. I feel like that's another opportunity for them to come out and say it. Like, I feel like they could have done like black screens at the beginning of each episode that gives like a historical context of like what's happening. And they could have said like, you know, King George is suffering, like in maybe like episode 5 or like later on when you like know he's suffering something. Be like King George was suffering from, you know, it's assessed as schizophrenia or bipolar, like, and that's what caused his crazy decisions and why they called him like the Mad King or whatever, just to like conceptualize it, because otherwise you're going to make assumptions. Like we were just talking about it of like, oh, it looked like it was schizophrenia, or oh, but like, you know, historically it was bipolar. It's like, I feel like if you name it, like you kind of dispel some of the stigma behind it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think that's a really great way to put it. But with George in particular, well, I don't think they know. I think there's been some controversy over like what exactly he had, or what was going on with him, because it's impossible to know, right? Especially since medicine and like mental health has changed so much.
Obviously.
But like the overarching message of the show was that Queen Charlotte was going to stay with George, not as duty to country, duty to her family, but also duty to George as a like, oh God, what is this? There's a quote that just stuck with me. And I liked the show. I don't think I'll rewatch it. It's not like one of those types of shows. It's 2. So love is not a thing one is able or not able to do based on some magic, some chemistry that is for place. And then love is determination. Love is a choice one makes. You take someone in marriage and you choose to love them. Aww. And like, that's like demonstrative of Charlotte's behavior to George and all her actions throughout the entire show. And like when she's trying to get her kids to marry and like produce heirs, like I think she says this to one of her kids, doesn't she?
Think so, or it's the kids saying to her, one of the two.
But like that message where she is choosing to behave a certain way and choosing to believe a certain way, like it makes you wonder like how much power exists in that kind of philosophy. Like if you choose to feel something or you choose to believe something, like it will manifest itself.
I don't know. Because also I feel like that's sometimes used as a I don't know the right term, but like a critique of women in not abusive relationships. So what I'm imagining is a woman has like kind of like a family arranged marriage. I feel like it happens a lot in the I don't know where I was going with that, but like in a forced relationship, and it's like you need to choose to love your husband despite all of the fucked up things he's doing. It's like, you know, marriage isn't just like magic love and it's easy. Like you have to like work hard.
At it. Like you have to.
Yeah. And like there's something to that, but I feel like sometimes it's used as like an excuse to like excuse crazy behavior, and like I'm choosing to still love my husband even though he's abusive and like a horrible person.
That's a good qualifier.
Yeah,
I agree entirely.
But I feel like this is different because she's like choosing to love him despite the things that he's suffering through and like him wanting to suffer alone. It's like, no, I still choose to love you. Like we're gonna work on this and it's gonna be hard, but like we're two people that love each other, and like that's what this requires. I feel like there's a different message, but sometimes they get conflated. So I feel like it's important to
it is very important. Like I appreciate that distinction, and I think the other thing is you don't have to choose to love someone. It's okay not to love someone. Yeah. But if you're going to be with someone, don't just be with them. I think that's the okay.
We're on the same page.
Okay.
We get it.
Yeah. Yep.
Love is beautiful.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about Violet?
Okay. So now that we're moving away from like emotional connections, let's move on to gardening.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We're still not. Okay. Gardening, yes. And then the whole young Violet Bridgerton, Lady Danbury's fucking her dad. They just bypass that and still continue their friendship. That needs to be discussed. That can be an endpoint.
Yep. Moving back to that.
Gardening.
Gardening.
Yeah. We talked about this. I love the fact that so Violet Bridgerton is always like this character that's very like proper and mannered and like loves love, but she never like talks about sex or love,
She
really.
she is the ultimate mom figure.
Yes.
Like the best mom figure.
Yep.
But
also, and it's funny because I just rewatched season 1, like I was talking about at the gym. And the scene where Daphne is like, okay, but like, what are marital duties? And Violet comes up with some like, and she gets all breathy and red, and she's like, well, like when two people are married and they love each other, a baby appears. And it's like, that's not how that works. But
nope.
And she's like, yeah, you're probably gonna enjoy it a lot. Me and Edmund did it all the time.
That's the 7 children.
Yeah. But it's like, it's just funny that you have this character who like does not talk about stuff. And then she has a friend close enough that she can be like, I have needs that are not being met, and like society won't let me just do what I need to do. Like, I am horny all the time.
I need my garden planted.
But it was just it almost felt like a character arc. Like, she's kind of like sheltered and doesn't really talk about her needs. And it's like just family, family, family. And then she's like, know what? I have a need that is not being met.
Oh my God. Well, I think they're opening season 2 probably for a Violet like storyline.
That would be fun. Because that's what I felt was not missing from this, but I was bummed that they didn't talk about how Edmund and Violet got together, because like that's the cute like Cinderella love. Like, I want to hear about that.
There's a book. There's a prequel book for Violet's story.
Oh,
I think.
You're probably like getting me all hyped up for something that doesn't exist.
No, it does exist. I'm pretty sure, because there was a huge call for let's see, Bridgerton prequels. I'm looking. There's a lot of Julia Quinn books.
I could see that. But that would be fun, because it was also interesting that Violet is so much younger than, like, she's not in the same peer group, because she wasn't even out in society yet.
Oh my God.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, so she does not have a full-length novel. Thus the garden comparison, because the title of her like little short story is called Violet in Bloom.
Good for her.
I think so. Just reading this little blurb, it looks like it's in a collection of short stories called The Bridgertons Happily Ever After.
Aww. See, because I want to know, like, how does Violet and Edmund get together? That's what I want to know. Because I have like thoughts about like what would be a fun like get together plot, but I have no idea. That could go in a million directions. Are we going to address this?
We should address this. Okay, so going back to Lady Danbury.
Yeah.
So her husband dies, thank God. Because I don't know how many scenes we could have seen.
I don't know how many more I could have seen.
With that. So, and then their rehearsed like morning where like the maid comes in and like, so he dies right in the middle.
Oh,
and the maid is like, it finally happened. And so they get somber. They set everything up and then, oh no.
And then the screaming starts.
Yeah. It's just,
that was A+. I like their little, like, didn't they have like a giddy moment together? Like,
yeah, they had like a little girl moment. Like, it's here, it's finally happening. So.
There's like a dead man on the floor. Love it.
Yes. Yeah. But this was another thing that I think they treated really well, which is Lady Danbury's like the grief she felt but couldn't articulate because she was happy and sad all at the same time. And I think it's because her world was so upended. Yeah. Like now she has all this freedom to do whatever the fuck she wants to do. But yet she feels like she's missing a part of herself because like basically her youth, not that she's old, right? But like was pretty much taken from her.
Yeah. And it was a fun, I feel like that storyline, and like I can't really speak from this because I'm not like a victim of domestic abuse or anything, but I feel like it's kind of echoed in things that I've like heard and read, is even after you get rid of this like abusive partner, you kind of are in that like what do I do now? Like, I know I'm happy, but like, this was like a huge, like, how do I live now that I have this freedom? Like, what do I do?
I think it's a struggle to define yourself outside of that other person because that person is such a dominating aspect of your life for so long. That's probably part of the like feeling. She does a good job, the actress does a good job at conveying how lost the character feels.
Yeah.
And then her meeting Violet's dad, like that was so cute.
It was. And it made me sad that it turned into Violet's dad.
Yeah.
Because I feel like she deserved that, like as someone who's like soft with her. And it's like a natural, like friend romance kind of like, affair. But like actually an affair.
Yeah, but that's another thing. Like this society that they were in, there's so much gray area with like, okay, yeah, it's wrong.
Yeah.
But nobody chose this marriage. Like the parents chose this marriage for them probably. Or it was like a political move or fill in the blank, right? So what's allowed and not allowed? That's a huge thing in like these kinds of books, like the Regency romance novels. Like, okay, there's this line, right, of like, this is the society we live in. And it's okay if he has a mistress because he was forced to marry this chick.
Yeah.
Right? Like, is it really though? Like, no. Like, and it's okay to like be a mistress and accept only that because of whatever your place in society or your prior history, like because women didn't have any power. Like if you were widowed or like poor, what were you gonna do? Like, so I don't know.
The thing I didn't love about that whole mini story arc is how they vilified Violet's mom. Because she was like described as like the nagging, kind of like rude and mean. But it's like, how would Violet be this like loving parent? And it could be a response to like not having a loving mom. But it was kind of, it felt forced. Like
it felt like designed so Lady Danbury could have her entrance.
Yeah, and not be like vilified as like a marriage wrecker. But I just didn't love it.
That's a total cop out. Like,
it's like people can make decisions without it being like the fault of like, the wife.
And if I remember correctly, Violet's mom was doing the right parenting for her daughter at that time. Like, no, you're not old enough to go to this party, or no, you can't wear that thing, or like, there were some moments that were more extreme one way or the other with like, oh, no, you can't study science or reading, Violet, but like...
Yeah, I don't know. Because even outside of that, like I would understand that if that was the vilifying, but there was like scenes where she's just shown as like nagging or like rude to her husband or like just as unnecessary vilification of other women to make cheating okay.
But it wouldn't like so the show wouldn't have worked then, right? Because then he wouldn't be this like friendly, approachable character. Like, oh, he's so sad at home. He needs someone like outside of his home life to make him happy. Like,
but that would have been like a much more dynamic thing of like he had this relationship with Lady Danbury, but he like loves his wife. Like there's a way to make it like not problematic, but still like intriguing. Like the dichotomy of man. It's like he could be this like great dad, but he's maybe not a good person. Or he could even extend, gentleness and kindness to Lady Danbury, but like also make very questionable ethical decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was crazy. But also then fast forward to the future that like Violet doesn't really know what happened and now they're friends. With like Violet and Lady Danbury are friends, but like Danbury never told her.
So Danbury, her first name is Agatha, right?
Oh yeah,
Agatha. Okay, so Agatha, the whole gardening thing. I want to be gardened as much as possible. So Agatha says it's okay to be gardened. I was gardened. I had. Yeah. So that's how she starts like educating Violet. Like, hey, it's okay to like have these urges and seek comfort and seek, whatever you want, where for whatever reason you may have, right? So she explains that she had this relationship with this guy.
Yeah.
And it's the paper crown thing. That's what gives it away.
If it's just weird that they like kind of like agreed, like, okay,
They talked
that
around
happened.
it. Yeah.
This is fine. Because I feel like that would be weird. Like your best friend had sex with your dad and you're not weirded out by that.
Well, and Agatha is like probably 10 years older
Yeah.
than.
So I guess that makes it a little bit less weird, but like only a little bit less.
Well, I mean, if you have kids.
Because you're a little bit older than me. I would be weirded out if you had sex with my dad.
Ew.
Exactly. See? You know what I mean? Like, how did they just like bypass that and be like, okay, we're friends still? Like that's a big hurdle. That's a weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yep. Yeah. That's why I was like, are they just not?
Well, I wonder too, they're both older. Like they're both in their 50s and 60s, I think.
I could
so
see
maybe
that.
like a little bit more life experience. Like you've been through a lot. Like Violet is a widow.
Yeah.
She's had 7 kids. Maybe she's just like rolling with the punches
Yeah.
now. Like
She's like, okay.
Well,
what more can happen?
Maybe she too also just witnessed how bad her parents' marriage was.
Yeah.
Maybe that allowed some of the processing.
I could see that. And that would be a more reasonable response then if she did have like a really antagonistic relationship with her mom, which like is problematic because of like the portrayal of like the scorned woman. But I think that would explain it more, that they just kind of like skip past it and be like, okay, yeah, we're still friends. Like it's weird, but we're still friends. But that didn't happen. Like it was implied, but I was like, I don't know. That whole scene where, you know, Violet has all of the crowns.
Sits all
displayed.
the crowns up. Like
I was like, that's snarky, but like y'all didn't talk about it.
Well, that's Violet as a character though. She's such a like a demure, soft character. Like she struggles to garden.
Yeah.
Like that's as much as she can articulate.
Yeah.
So that's I think the only way she could have broached the subject in the first place. It was like,
see
okay, how do I talk about this? Oh, I'll just put all the hats out and she'll bring it up herself.
But I kind of think it was more intentional than that. Like Violet is always like really soft and like demure, like you were saying, but she has these moments of like the little like, you know, star in her eye of like, hoo-hoo, like I'm gonna get up to some like naughtiness, but it's like very subtle and very like crafty almost.
Yeah.
Because there's some scenes with her children that like she's always like soft and then it like snaps out and you're like, damn, like, okay, Violet Bridgerton, like she's still the mom of 7 kids. Like
Yeah. I don't know. There's probably going to be more along those lines next season because there is a season 2, I think, coming out.
Oh, of Queen Charlotte?
Yeah.
Oh.
The whole point was for it to be a prequel season for the Bridgerton show, but there's going to be another season.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, because there's the current timeline that's tracking along. So there's probably going to be more to do in that timeline as well.
Oh, okay. That would make sense. Because I thought this was just like a fun mini series.
No, there's going to be another one.
Oh.
Because why not make a sequel if it makes enough money?
Yeah.
Like,
but also it was enjoyable, so I'm like not mad about it.
Yeah. And maybe more of Brimsley and what's his face?
Please, Reynolds.
Yeah,
oh,
Reynolds.
God. Love it.
Of all the names, Reynolds.
Yeah, that is a bit odd.
Oh my God.
I love them. That was A+ casting, A+ chemistry, like fucking on the money. Like we're gonna pretend like we don't have crazy sex, you know, we're just gonna pretend like we're fancy men who serve whoever. I don't know where I'm going with that, but you know, they have airs.
Yeah, we need more of that. We need more
100%.
lighthearted. But to kind of steer us towards an end, I think this was such a good show to do since we are going to start dabbling in shows. Maybe we'll see what the response is after we post this episode. Is because there are so many great examples in this show of fantastic heroines in all different types. So we have Catelyn Stark, Princess Augusta. Okay. We have Charlotte, we have Violet, we have Lady Danbury. They're all very unique, different personalities who problem solve in different ways. And yet they're all very strong. They all go after what they want.
Yeah.
It's just, they're great female role models. Yeah.
Because I feel like there's parallels too. And there's things that TV shows could do better that they could pull from books to like as a good example of how to do heroines, and then vice versa too. Because I feel like especially in today's like some of the new TV shows and movies that are coming out, like some of the heroines are really like dynamic and like faceted that I think books could sometimes pull from instead of just defaulting to these like tropes that we've read a bajillion times. So it's like a fun give and take. Because Lady Danbury's character kind of reminds me of the main character from Entreat Me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like she's been married before, like in Entreat Me, she had like a love relationship, like she was close with her husband. But she like is at this point like, okay, I had spent, this period of time, I'm gonna move on. Like I want a good, big love relationship, like to have sex with whoever, and like I have my certain things that I want to do with my life, like the same kind of character. So it's fun to see them in TV shows and in books.
I think I was reading an article about The Little Mermaid, the new Little Mermaid movie. And they did a study on all the Disney movies and the amount of like voice time the female characters had versus the male characters.
Oh, there's a test for that. Keep going while I try to look it up.
And I want to say like in the Renaissance period of Disney, which was like 1989 through like the late 90s, it was still like 40% of
what?
Like, so movies about like heroines, female characters, but they were all surrounded by male characters who did most of the speaking. So think about Ariel, surrounded by all.
Yeah, she didn't have a voice.
Ariel and Ursula, and then all the other characters were men.
Yeah.
And then think about Beauty and the Beast. It's just Belle and Mrs. Potts.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And the little like French girl, but she doesn't get any speaking time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
What's another Renaissance Disney movie? Aladdin?
Yeah. Because, yeah.
Jasmine? Jasmine is it.
That's it.
Right?
That is true.
But thinking about this show, how many male characters are there and how many like lines? Like the Princess Augusta's like little cohort of advisors. She's like, nah, shut up.
Please stop talking. Yeah. Yeah, even though sometimes they had like valid things. But what I was thinking about, it's called the Bechdel test. So it's when women talk, or like a female character talks to another female character about something other than another man. And the rates in movies are disgusting. Like you could do it for fun and be depressed, but that's the Bechdel test. So it's fun that this show, I feel like, passes the Bechdel test. Because they have women talking to women, not about men.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I would be interested if season 1 and season 2 pass.
Well, probably not.
I don't think they do. I think Eloise is the only saving grace for both season 1 and season 2.
Eloise is such a cool character, but her book is probably the worst.
Really? That's depressing.
I know.
Does she actually end up with Theo Sharp or whatever?
Remind me again.
He's the like print press guy. And they're both into feminism.
So real quick, so the title of Eloise's book is To Sir Philip with Love.
Oh no.
All right, I'm going to give some spoilers. So stop listening if you haven't read the books and don't want to know what happens in the show if they follow the books.
That's not Theo.
Okay, so and that's why like I think the show is going to like diverge from the books, but in the books, do you remember from season 1 the really pretty cousin who comes to live with the Featheringtons?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the dude she ends up marrying the knight. Okay, so she dies in a few years, like in childbirth. And then so he's a widower and he's like a scientist, like botanist type thing. I think they actually show that in the show. So he starts corresponding with Eloise via letter and they have a whole letter trope thing. Like it sounds like a great book. it doesn't move really fast. It's not necessarily bad, I don't think. So Eloise ends up with Philip, Sir Philip.
I don't think I love.
Huge spoiler. Again, I know these books a little too well.
I'm having an existential crisis right now.
I'm sorry. But
that's fine.
Gregory has a great story.
I don't even know Gregory. He's like a baby.
He's the youngest one. He has a great, great book.
Oh, so there's another girl, isn't there?
Hyacinth.
Yeah, but another one.
So there's
Eloise.
Eloise Francesca.
Francesca
is also, she's already married, I think
Whoa.
Yeah, so I think she married super young. Like she ran off to...
That's fun.
Gretna Green.
Green. Oh, the place where everybody gets married or whatever.
It's the Vegas of the Regency period.
Vegas.
And I think she is like, she becomes a widow pretty early on in her marriage.
This is so depresso.
Yeah.
All these widows.
Yeah.
Goddamn. Okay, interesting. Because like I kept seeing like another child like pop up, and I'm like, who the fuck? Like I know Hyacinth, but like who the fuck is this like other kid?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Francesca. Because she was the one that was like playing the piano, and she's like, can we talk about anything other than like Daphne and balls? And I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, we did a surprisingly good job of staying
We stayed on track.
chronological.
For the most part. It was pretty good. We touched on everything.
Yeah.
I think that was,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
good heroines.
See, I want to do another one for when actual season 3 comes out with like Penelope and Colin, but I don't love their relationship. And I don't love it because I hate it when you have a girl that's like fawning for a guy's attention and he doesn't give her the time of day, and then like somehow he like notices her. Fucking hate that as a trope. Because it's like, why do you need a man to note? I'm about to get fired up. Why do you need a man to notice you? Like, he should have noticed from the first place that you're like, and I get men can sometimes be like oblivious and like dumb and stuff. Fair. But still, like, no. Penelope should find a man that knows her worth that's immediately like, you got something going on, girl.
I'm trying to remember. Okay, I think the timelines are very different in the books because he goes off on his like world tour, right? And then he comes back, and she's like had like a swan moment.
No, I don't love that either.
Yeah, so I think they're rushing the storyline because they just want to
money. Interesting.
Yeah, also not a great book.
Yeah, because it's interesting too because the actress that plays her is like way older.
Yeah,
that was fun.
She's in Dairy Girls.
Dairy Girls?
Yeah.
I want to watch that. Because isn't Adam Driver in Dairy Girls?
I don't know. I watched a few episodes. It didn't quite snag me, but it's pretty good.
I think British humor is kind of like weird to American listeners.
Yeah, a little hit or miss.
Yeah. Anyway, Adam Driver, we're going to go full circle with this. Adam Driver played Kylo Ren in Star Wars, obviously. Ali Hazelwood, the author that I was talking about from the beginning, who wrote fanfic and now writes like modern romance with like STEM females. Her first like big book, it's not Love Theoretically. Oh, God, we're going to pull
The
it
Love
up.
Hypothesis?
Yep.
Read that one.
Okay. So that started as fanfic of Kylo Ren and Rey from Star Wars.
Who didn't want that to happen?
I know.
Like, come on.
So she wrote a fanfic about it and then turned it into an actual book. So we've gone full circle. Also, there's a book coming out. It's called Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood this week that I am going to read because I love smutty, easy reading that has women in STEM. That's a very nuanced.
That is a very,
that's a
very
niche.
like, niche genre, but it works.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's also not sponsored. These books are smutty to heck, but they're just so easy to read. Because sometimes you need a little refresher from all the names you can't pronounce. Fantasy.
It was so nice not to have weird names.
I know. It's like I can pronounce all of these.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
it was nice.
It was good.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll do another like movie / TV show episode. But for now, we are going back to books.
Yes. Well, no, we're not going to do. I'm not making any sense. Our next book is
Twilight. Twilight.
Yes.
Okay. So next,
and there is a comfort movie there.
Yep. It is going to be book and movie. We'll probably have 3 parts.
Yeah,
I think
so.
So yeah.
I love it. We'll put it all together. It's not going to be a separate movie because that would just be
the movie will be
as a movie. What?
No, I have to save it for the Twilight episode.
That's fair.
I just have so many thoughts about Twilight right now.
I do too. The movie's still my comfort movie, and nothing can divulge me of that opinion. Even Rob's probably very legitimate critiques.
He's going to try very hard.
It is a comfort movie through and through.
Very much.
The blue tones, the soundtrack that's
going back to the
colors. Oh my God.
I mean, yeah, Muse, come on.
Yeah. Jesus.
Anyway, from our shelf to yours.
We'll see you on the next page. Or on the next show. Who knows? Hi, readers. If you'd like to help us pick our next book, send us a message on Instagram.
Or if you'd like to just listen, we post new episodes every Monday and Wednesday on Spotify, Apple, and Amazon. Thanks for listening.
Bussin'.